Hello everyone, it's Half-Light Mike, I hope you're all doing well. Today we are back with Lord of the Rings Total War Remastered and we're playing the Fellowship of the Ring campaign. Out of the 17 factions, this is the only one that's noted to be extremely hard because the Free Peoples can only recruit weaker units like the Peasants and the Hobbits. However, we are relying on the strength of our Fellowship Generals to get us across Middle-earth. There is also a random spawn for Dunedain Rangers and the Ents when playing as this faction, so we can rely on them for a bit more power if we need it. I've got campaign and battle difficulty set to hard, so let's just jump into this one. There will be some movie footage that plays when I click start campaign, so I'm just going to cut to the first turn.
This campaign tries to follow, as far as this game allows, the events that take place during the War of the Ring. The most important events in the travels of the Fellowship of the Ring are represented by scripts that will be activated automatically by the advisor. The message of the advisor will explain its purpose. All these scripts will help Frodo in the quest to destroy the One Ring, or they are prerequisites to unlock scripts in subsequent stages of the journey. In all cases, the event that triggers the advisor is when a named character of the Free Peoples ends the turn near certain relevant places, usually 2 or 3 tiles close to a city. Although any character can trigger the advisor, the scripts will only work if the right characters are present, usually Frodo bearing the ring, or Aragorn with Anduril or Gandalf. The scripts are designed to work if you meet certain conditions, but they sometimes are not able to verify all the requirements. Do not try to cheat, because it could cause weird effects. Here begins the journey of Frodo. His first objective is to reach the Old Forest without being captured or killed by the Black Riders who prowl around the roads of the Shire.
That's a quick intro into how the scripts work, and then a lot of factions also have this info panel as well, which just tells you a bit about them and their unique characters. As the Fellowship we have Aragorn, Frodo and Sam, Gandalf the Grey, and then Gimli, Legolas and Boromir are all waiting for us at Rivendell. So we start with Frodo and Sam sitting outside of Hobbiton, in possession of the One Ring. We are being hunted down by the Nazgul, and we can only see 2 here, but there are actually more lurking in the ambush spots, so we need to be careful for that. But essentially we need to get to Bree, where we will meet with Aragorn, who starts in the northeast here, so we'll move him down as well. And we need to get there via the red arrows. So I find the best way to get to the first one is just to head straight down here, and then down and round. That usually seems to avoid the Nazgul. Obviously we're not a horde faction, we're not just the Fellowship, we are an actual faction, being the Free Peoples. So we've got a bunch of settlements in the west here, and then 2 on the banks of the Anduin River. So there are some economy things I need to take care of, but I don't want to spend too long on that because the main focus of the campaign is obviously on the Fellowship. Just want to get things built where I can. So with these settlements here, Beorn is the place where the Hobbits stay over, by the way. Sorry, the Dwarves stay over in the Hobbit, if you're interested. At the time of the War of the Ring, it's inhabited by Rimbeorn, who is Beorn's son. So that's just a nice interesting thing there. These 2 settlements are quite difficult to hold because of the goblins in the Misty Mountains. They usually spill out with thousands of troops. So they're quite hard to defend, but we'll see what we can do in the early game. When playing as the Free Peoples, there's also a chance for a random Ent spawn in the Forest of Fangorn. And then we've got Gandalf the Grey here. Gandalf the Grey is just a diplomat, so we don't need to worry about him getting killed until he becomes Gandalf the White, at which point he becomes a proper general. So I'll pass the turn there. But the Free Peoples campaign is the only campaign that starts in this time period. All the other campaigns start when Lurtz ambushes the Fellowship at Ammonhen. So the Free Peoples is the only one where you start from the Shire, which makes sense if you're playing as the Fellowship. On turn 1, you always get this question, keep good versus evil, and what it's asking you is if you want to keep the super factions in place. So currently, or when you start the game, all the forces of good factions are part of a super faction headed up by the White Council, and all the forces of evil factions are part of a super faction headed up by Sauron's will. And that just means the good factions are locked into alliances, they can't attack each other, and likewise the evil factions are locked into alliances. So as we're playing as the Fellowship, it's good for us to have that on. If we were to decline this, then the campaign would be a free-for-all and every faction could attack each other. But we don't want that. We want the support of the forces of good factions. So we're going to get our first trigger here. I'm actually going to turn up the taxes in some of these places as well, because money does become an issue as this faction. And the Hobbit troops we have in Hobbiton are not very good. The Hobbit archers, on the other hand, are very strong. So we want to get some of those if we can. Right, so we get our first trigger here. What we should do is check for any Ent spawn. It's good to do that every time, because if you just leave the Ents there in Fangorn, then Isengard attack them and you usually lose them. I want to amass an army of Ents and try and do the attack on Isengard if I can, but we'll see where we get to. The other thing as well is that your general in Fornost is one of only two generals, Aragorn being the other, that starts with the Dunedain Rangers bodyguard, so you want to get him involved in action if you can. I know in the books that it's Arwen that takes Frodo to Rivendell, I think, and she sort of outruns and dodges the Nazgul, which would be nice to do in this game, but we can't really do that in a Total War game. We need reinforcements, so I want to mobilise some troops to get ready for the wars ahead. That's where the top, if you're interested, that's where Frodo gets stabbed. So usually it reads them out, but the Nazgul are searching for Frodo throughout the Shire. The roads are not safe. The hobbits are now taking the path through the old forest to escape the Nazgul chasing them and to reach Bree.
The hobbits have been able to cut through the old forest, but now they should tread carefully through the Barrow Downs. The next objective is to reach Bree.
So this Barrow Downs has got a Barrow-White general, and I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to be able to beat them because they have an army of the dead bodyguard, which is one of the strongest units in the game. So we're going to try and sneak past there. Aragorn moving to Bree. These guys moving over. Check for any Ent spawns, and there seem to be any. I'm just going to make sure that we're building up our economy. We don't actually need to, do much as a faction. We don't need these places to build up. The only thing I'm worried about is, because we are very weak, there's the potential that all our settlements get wiped out by the Gundabad in the north and the Orc Rabbles, so we need to build them up so they can actually defend against the goblins and things. But yeah, you can see the Nazgul are waiting to pounce if we make a wrong move. Something else actually is the Grimbjorn is the transformed Bjorning, which is a nice little Easter egg. So I'll move Frodo and Sam to here. As far as I remember, this tile is okay. They don't usually hide in that one. I'm not sure why. Nothing in Fangorn, which is disappointing. We do need those Ents to start appearing. Not usually worth building the trader anyway. It doesn't usually give you much of a return. and moving. Okay, so Aragorn is in Bree. So we now need to get Frodo there. Okay, so that's the next step of our journey, just triggered there. Okay, so a trader in Bree is actually worth it. That's good to know. In Hobbiton, it's not worth it. And then Mickle delving. I didn't know if this was Mitchell or Mickle, but apparently, well, in one of Gallo's videos he talked about it being called Mickle. So that's the pronunciation I'm going to go with.
Strider advises Frodo to march to Rivendell as soon as possible to meet with Gandalf.
Okay, so everyone's waiting for us at Rivendell. So we need to join the party, or the White Council. So this Nazgul is blocking our way. Being hobbits, they can't move as far. I think it's one of the... Yeah, they get minus movement points for being a hobbit and for being seduced by the ring. So that's annoying. But we can... I guess we'll just go around this way. I don't really want to wait for that Nazgul to move because I don't know if it's going to move. No Ents ones. Gandalf's already there. We need a better wall here. I need to start recruiting troops as well to be able to hold it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold that, to be honest. I don't know if it's a good idea just to give them up. That's the rebels.
Elrond waits for Gandalf and Frodo before starting the council. If they have arrived near Rivendell, the script will continue.
I think that might just play until we get there. Yeah, I need to stay away from the ambush spots, but it's quite difficult to do. I used to get caught on the way. I'm hoping on this time that I won't. Because on the hard levels of difficulty, if you come up against a Nazgul that has a cavalry bodyguard, you can't really beat it, especially if it's got the experienced Evrons. Some of the times the Nazgul just a foot soldier unit. You can beat those. Maybe it's worth it though. And I need to do something about these rebels. To get an Ent. No Ents. Sometimes you get Bjorning spawns in Bjorn as well. Not been seeing those. Let's just threaten them off. I'd rather not fight it. I don't want to lose any troops. Okay. Let's pass the turn. I don't know if I can make it through here. Seems to be fine. Yeah, not exactly going as the crow flies. I don't think I got that saying right. Must be something else. Still no Ents. They're still under siege 3 times, that's fine. Not too fussed on that. I want to get farms in every place that I can. I think. That's usually the best way to go. I wouldn't need walls yet. Just get a trader here. That will do. Okay, let's keep going. I've seen some... Oh. Being attacked. I don't really want to fight these because I want to focus on the fellowship. So I'll just leave that. Yeah, I've seen some questions about... Well, some comments about sort of dark compared to this mod. And I think it's probably important to note that those two mods, in my opinion, they have different sort of design objectives. This mod is very focused on the events of the films, and actually when this mod was originally created, it was apparently only going to be custom battles, because the design goal was to create battles from the films, so the emphasis is on getting the units to look like they did in the films, and being able to play battles that kind of play out or look like they did in the films. But then it sort of morphed into a campaign after that, but that original design goal... I won't be able to defend this. But that original design goal still has an impact on the way the campaign plays, because the campaign is very focused on what happens in the films. So for example, for most factions you start when Lurtz ambushes the Fellowship at Amon Hen, and so that's quite, but when you talk about Dark is broader than that. It starts about 20 years before the War of the Ring, and then there are a lot of scripts in this game. They're just focused around the War of the Ring. So there's a script that triggers an army at the Helm's Deep for the Elves of Lothlorien to spawn if Isengard attacks, and then there's one that triggers Rohan reinforcements to spawn when Mordor attacks Minas Tirith, and then there's hundreds of lines of script, thousands actually, for the sort of Fellowship of the Ring. But this campaign is very focused on that and what happens in the films, because, for example, characters don't age, and then there's characters like Elrond and Galadriel that don't move from their location, and that's just because it's all supposed to take place over a very short space of time, like it does in the films. And I know that Peter Jackson's films are very close to the books, because it was a faithful adaptation, but this mod is still sort of in line with the films. But in doing so, they're obviously still close to the books, because Peter Jackson's films were so close to the books, but it still means that I think this mod is much more sort of narrow on the focus. That's not a bad thing, it's just like personal preference. It's what you want. I mean, I love this mod. I've had a lot of fun on this. It's the most fun I've had in a Total War game in a long time. But it just depends what you want. If you want the sort of broader campaign, which does have some faction-specific scripts, so this one's more focused on the films. So, did we get any ant spawns? No. Okay, we're getting closer to Rivendell, and the money is seemingly fine at the minute. I need to recruit some units over here. I'm going to hold these. No ant spawns yet. And thought that was going to mess up the script. Okay, we're now nearly at Rivendell. I should be able to trigger the next leg of the journey. Yeah, in terms of development then, it comes down to whether the developers want to sort of branch out, go for more of that sort of broader approach, or if they want to go sort of stick with the films, which is what the original mod was always designed to do, you know. So, should get a trigger here. We've not had any ant spawns, it's not good. Usually we'd have at least a couple by now. Okay, let's go.
The Council of Elrond has decided to let Frodo try to destroy the One Ring in the fires of Mount Doom. Legolas, Gimli and Boromir join to Gandalf, Aragorn and the Hobbits to form the Fellowship of the Ring. The first leg of their journey will be to cross the misty mountains through the pass of Caradhras.
Right, so the next leg is to go to the pass of Caradhras. Now we all know what happens. Now we now have Legolas, Boromir and Gimli joining the party here. So as before, we will get our buffer force to go on ahead, scout out the area, which unfortunately we do need to do on hard levels of difficulty. I don't know if it's possible to do it without doing that. Just make sure we're investing still. Oh, seems fine. Let's get going here. When I found out about this mod, actually, I didn't realise there was a... I didn't realise it was on Rings Total War originally. I then found out that there was other mods, other Lord of the Rings mods for Rings Total War, like 4th Age. And that was interesting because Tolkien doesn't really say much about the 4th Age in his books. Because I did read the appendices to Return of the King not too long ago just to check what it says. But it seems to be very focused on what the Fellowship did after the events of the War of the Ring rather than talking about the wider world in general. So I was hoping for a bit more on what the world was like, but I guess that means in the 4th Age mod they will have had to sort of use their imagination a bit more to come up with factions and things like that, given there wasn't much info about them. Just grab the trader there. Fornost is usually the first one to get attacked by Gundabad. So we do need troops up here. Unfortunately, there's no real decent ones we can get, but some are better than nothing. No ant spawns. Okay, let's keep going. Yeah, unfortunately we weren't close enough to trigger it there. So a lot of the time you don't want to be actually on the arrow, you want to be just a tile next to it so you can walk into it. I've had issues like that in the past. Sometimes the scripts are a bit temperamental, but they do work. I've done the full story before, from start to finish. Yeah, I was looking at the videos of the 4th Age mod, and that looked quite interesting actually. Because by the time of the 4th Age, the elves are nearly all gone. They're already
Gandalf wants to try crossing the misty mountains through the pass of Caradhras. The pass of Caradhras is closed.
So I will need to edit that bit out, but you get a little soundbite of Gimli saying let's go under it, which is basically saying let's go to Moria, which is here. So this part of the script is a bit tricky because sometimes the goblins have an additional army. So when you get close to Moria, that army attacks you, and then you can't trigger the script because it pulls in the Balrog and all of its units. So, oh, we got lucky this time. Unless there's an army that I can't see here, we did get lucky. Usually there's an army there. But, I'll take it. We do want to get those Hobbit archers going, given how strong they are. Okay, let's pass the turn there. Ah, there you go. So there was a unit there, but it's not a large force. I'm actually just gonna fight this because I need my characters not to die. Because if certain characters die, the script doesn't work. Yeah, on the 4th age point, I realised there was actually some videos online of it. There's a YouTube channel that covers it pretty comprehensively. I don't know if he's a developer, but seems to be doing a lot of videos on it, even up until recently. But yeah, the elves, by the time of the 4th age, or even by the time of the 3rd age, they were leaving. So by the time of the 4th age, they're almost all gone. So that just leaves the dwarves and the men. And then I think the dwarves, they reclaim Moria. Yeah, they must have done, because there's that game coming out called Return to Moria, which looks interesting. I was looking for some footage of that, but I couldn't see any gameplay footage. Just a gameplay trailer. So what I'm going to do here is... our priority is... I don't know why they're not shooting. Our priority is not to lose any of the generals. You might be able to lose Boromir, but you can't lose Aragorn, Legolas, or Gimli. And then Frodo and Sam basically can't really fight. Frodo actually doesn't do that badly in fights. I caught up with it. We might lose the campaign here. Hopefully not. I mean, getting chevrons on these generals is not a bad thing. Problem is, you just risk them dying. But because they have such low unit sizes, it doesn't take long for them to build experience. So we got 3 silver chevrons on Legolas there, I think. Yeah, that's the one I was worried about. So this is where we need to use our So we need to beat this force so we can get into position next to Moria and then trigger the script. But this is probably the trickiest part of trying to get the script to fire. No, I can't see anything. So our only strong units here are the generals. The peasant units are pretty bad, but we still have cavalry, which will be useful regardless. Yeah, I'm kind of struggling to see, to be honest. So I think they've lined themselves up in the corner, which is smart. So we will be fighting uphill. And I want to use my... need to use my cavalry effectively here. Fighting uphill is a bit of a disaster. Not sure we have much choice. The peasant archers actually have decent range. Sorry, decent level of ammo. And the thing, even though they have low missile damage, it actually doesn't really matter against the goblin units or the orc units because they have such low defense anyway. You'd rather just have more ammo over less ammo and higher missile damage, because once you get over a certain amount of damage, it's all wasted. Or part of it is wasted. Oh, we did attack them actually, didn't we? So we'll just... oh, they're coming towards us now. I'm going to head round the back with this cavalry, see if I can get to their general. Okay, the general is isolated, but the armored goblins are actually quite strong. They have armor piercing as well, not that we have much armor. But I don't think the peasant horsemen will be able to beat the armored goblins. They're outnumbered 3 to 1. I didn't even see this unit get through the line. This unit must be nearly dead. Alright, let's just flank. Wavering. Yeah, it's broken, but it's fighting to the death. Now, Peasant Horseman that just got demolished. Once this unit's dead, I'll be able to pull these guys. No, we've lost this general. It's not gone well. Still has 75 men. He must have been one of the first to die. That is not good. Peasant Horsemen have routed. That's fine, as long as we can envelop them. But our general, that's not so good. Gonna have a new king. Battle's not going as well as I'd hoped, but I think we are going to win. Horsemen are back. Might be able to use them to chase down some units. Okay, here's one. Yeah, we took 900 casualties. Rangers of the North did their fair share, but unfortunately, I think we've lost them now that we've lost the general. Okay, so the way is now clear for us to hopefully trigger this script. That will take us to the next part of the story. Want to make sure everything's ticking along. Still no Ents ones. What's happening there? But we'll pass the turn here. It's happened again.
There is an unexpected foe waiting in the mines of Moria, a Balrog. Gandalf tries to stop the Balrog and wants to open a way out of Moria for the rest of the Fellowship.
I've edited this bit out, but it's Gandalf's lines in the mines of Moria. And then it shows us caradhras, where the Fellowship meet the Lady Galadriel. So we've lost Gandalf, as we were meant to, and Moria is ours, but if we... Okay, it's fine, so we're able to get there this turn. Well, nearly. Yeah, we actually can't really hold Moria because the public order is so bad, and we need to head to Lothlorien next, even though it is one of the most lucrative places in the game. So we want... In fact, that might be a problem if we lose it next turn. I suppose, no, it has to write for one turn. Okay, yeah, it should be fine. No end spawns. Let's get some more units there. There's the Sylvan Elves. They don't usually venture out of their forests. And I want to build up these places as much as possible, because when the orcs come for us, these will be the last places that go. So defensively they need to be solid, and we need to get better units from them. Let's pass the turn. I guess we got another general. So let's get rid of some of these other cultures buildings. Let's pave the way for the Fellowship. And then let's get through Moria. Yeah, I think if we didn't get into Moria this turn, then it would be go back to the rebels and we'd be stuck. It's good we got through there. No ent spawn. Don't know what's going on with that. Let's just queue stuff up. Because the main focus is on the Fellowship. There's the Elves of Lothlorien to provide their safety. But we don't really need this buffer force anymore until we get to this area here. Then we might need it. Yeah, this is the problem with trying to hold these two settlements, is that you get thousands of orcs just spilling out of the mountains, and there's no way I'm holding that. These units take 3 turns to recruit, and most of the goblin units take 1 turn to recruit, so it's very difficult to hold. We'll see what we can do. But I want the main focus of this video to be on the Fellowship. Okay, so we're nearly at our next trigger. I don't know where our new generals are spawning in. It won't be Moria and Bree. Actually, that's not a bad thing, so I'm going to send up... Fornost is usually the first to be attacked. So let's send 2 generals up to Fornost. I'll just get the upgrade buildings there as well. And then we'll send some generals over to the east here, because the orc will sometimes spill out. Start attacking these settlements. Did not want to risk dying. The Moria's back with the rebels. Let's we're gonna have to fight this in case if I auto-resolve it and Frodo and Sam die, then we lose the campaign. So I had a crash there, but when you start a battle, there is an autosave that the game does, so I was able to get back to the exact point. Now I'm going to see if we can use our archers. There we go. See if we can use our archers to take out these guys. We don't have much damage because we don't have many soldiers. Oh, they only got 56. That might be enough then. So they are running away now, which is fine, but I want to make sure that they actually die because I don't want them to still be in the way. Okay, they're all gone. To the last man. So this is the point we need to get to. There are sometimes the fact the elves are in the way does block it. But yeah, I just need to deal with that if we need to. Or when we come to it. So Mordor did not attack the settlement. I think that's because it has so many units in it. It does seem like the AI avoids settlements which have a lot of units in them.
The ring-bearer is welcome in Caras Galadin, and you are now under the protection of the Galadrim.
Okay, so that worked first time.
While the Fellowship rests, Frodo is allowed to look into Galadriel's mirror. On their leaving, the Lord and Lady of the Galadrim offer some gifts to the Fellowship to remember Lothlorien and aid their journey. Their next route will be to follow the Anduin to the Falls of Rhoros.
Okay, so next point we need to get to is this little red arrow here. I know from playing this before that you actually need Frodo on the right hand side. The script doesn't quite work if you take them all to that place. So I'm going to grab Frodo. Don't know, Ent spawns. Let's move these guys into position as well. And pass the turn. This is where it can get a bit tricky because if you don't trigger the spawn correctly, or trigger the script correctly, then you end up very close to Mordor. And then you have to wait like a turn for it to work. I don't think we've seen an ant spawn yet. I think we can finally get some hobbit archers. One of the best archers in the game, these. I didn't realise for quite a while that they were so good. Even got good range. Okay, so we need to get Aragorn to here. And we need to get Frodo to about here. I want to have a decent number of units in these places to deter any attacks. But at a certain point we're going to start losing money with the weight of the military. It should be fine because it actually doesn't matter if we lose money. Because we're not dependent on recruiting troops for our campaign here. We just need certain characters to stay alive. And then it will work.
A unit of Dunedain Rangers has joined to your army.
Got our first unit of Dunedain Rangers. So that will help if Gundabad attacks. But I must say they're slightly late to the party. But better late than never, right? Okay, let's keep going with Frodo. So in this campaign, it looks to be okay. Rohan looks like they've done a decent job. And Gondorf taking this case, that's good actually, because that will help us in the next part of the campaign. Okay, so it might trigger. We might get a trigger this turn. No trigger. Okay, so I think Frodo and Sam has to be about here, if I remember correctly. Try that.
Here the Fellowship must split, and it is possible that it may return someone who was lost. The Fellowship is ambushed by an army of orcs and Uruks. Boromir will have to fight against many enemies for his life, and to protect the hobbits. Aragorn, Legolas and Gimli should try to hunt the rest of the orcs traveling to Fangorn, where they could find the lost members of Fellowship.
Okay, so the next stop is Fangorn, where we meet a certain white wizard. Frodo and Sam have gone. They're on their own path now. We cannot help them. And we're just left with the iconic Aragorn, Gimli and Legolas trio. I don't really want to fight the Uruks, because we risk one of our characters dying and then the scripts might not trigger. But at a certain point, we'll need to throw them into battle. Okay. Get some horsemen there. 4 turns for a peasant horseman. Outrageous. Okay, let's go. See if I can pick up the pace a little bit here. I think we've got a good base. to get them there as an insurance policy. Haven't seen an Ent yet. Looks like the March on Isenguards might not be possible. Unless the Ents decide to show up. No, so there's the Wild Men of Dunland. Always knew the attack was coming. Just didn't know when. Where have they attacked? Aspar. Didn't lose that. We get some forces here. You can get a bree militia now. I think it's the best units you can get from there. I don't want to go over the top with recruiting, but it needs to be enough that deters attacks. Because we're soon going to have problems with Gundabad unless Eredluin help us out. Okay, should get our next script here.
In unit of
Right, so we got a rent spawn as well. So Gandalf the White has awoken, and he is here. He has the Meiras force, if you remember that scene from the film. And we've got our first Ent spawn as well. Oh, we got 3. What's that saying about buses? They don't come, but then 2 come at once. Anyway, our next stop is Caradhras, because that has the sort of highlighted border. So we need to start moving towards there. They're quite safe in this area, given that they're surrounded by Rohan. How long until this is maybe 1 turn? Okay, I'm pretty happy with these starting settlements now. Should be able to deter an attack at least. Would have thought. That was a bit of a risk, but I want to focus on the Fellowship, so I don't want to fight too many battles like that, because ultimately it doesn't really matter if we get to Mordor. The rents are still stuck. Okay, we can get up. That's good. Keep going. I think it is Gwaihir the eagle that rescues Gandalf from after he beats the Balrog. It's the same eagle that rescues him from Isengard and gets
a
attacked
unit
by
of
Sauron.
Beernings is joined to your army.
Got Beornings. No. That's interesting. So as soon as I started recruiting units in that settlement, we got the recruitment of those Beornings. Maybe that's related. I don't know. So close now. Right, run. Nah, I lost meant. Actually won the battle. That is interesting. Alright, we've arrived at Caradhras. So it's time for the next part of this journey. Okay, so there's a bit of a long sound bit there which I probably need to edit out, but that's the rides of Rohan when he rides out against the Uruk-hai. So our next location is Dunharrow, where the Dawn of the Army of the Dead turn up. So we just need Aragorn, Legolas and Gimli for that. We're going to send Gandalf White along to Minas Tirith. And going to send this army down there. It's time to trigger the next script.
To let Aragorn attempt to cross the path of the dead through the White Mountains, press the Accept button. The lesser heir of Isildur has summoned the King of the Dead and his army of deadmen to join him until they fulfill their oath.
Frodo and Sam are back.
Frodo and Sam meet Gollum and Emanmuel, who guides them through the dead marshes. While they find a way into Mordor, they can take refuge in Ithilion's forests.
That's where we're headed. Sometimes in campaigns, Mordor will take this settlement, and that makes the next stage of the journey quite difficult. But fortunately, in this campaign, they have not. So it should be a doddle. Over here we've got the King of the Dead, and he's accompanied by the Army of the Dead, which are... they might be the best unit in the game. They can kill hundreds of men with their... they're actually cavalry with a ghost rider, like a blank or an invisible mount. They got a huge charge stat of 10. This cavalry only has charge of like 2 or 3. And then the melee attack of 5 is... it looks a bit low, but they seem to be very effective in combat. I think it's something to do with the AoE attack. Yeah, very powerful unit. Gandalf has insane movement. I think it's because he has the Miras mount. And we're losing a lot of money now, so I need to do something about that. Should be able to turn up attack in some of these places. We've got enough public order. I don't need like full stacks in every place, I just need enough troops to cover off any attack. But to be honest, we're getting to the stage now where I can probably just forget about the starting regions and just sort of plow through. The Dead Marshes does restrict your movement points. That is unavoidable. There's another Ent spawn. That was a very strong Isengard force. Yeah, let's keep going. Sometimes the script does bug out here, and I've not been able to figure this one out. So if it doesn't trigger, I need to. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'll need to try and work out why. But yeah, so I think that's inevitable. They were always going to go. Sometimes in these campaigns I do just let them go. We've got our next script triggering. There's a lot of places with plague. Alright, there's 4 ents in that unit now. Alright, so let's hope that this actually does trigger. I'll need to make sure I get the camera right, because sometimes the camera pans to a weird place, and I think that messes it up as well. So let's just get right on this settlement. Let's try and get this done. If you're watching before, I needed to cut to a new video because I passed the turn and then I thought the script didn't trigger correctly. But actually, I think it did, it's just it wasn't explicit in telling us where to go. So I passed the turn with Frodo here, and it did move him to Osgiliath as it's supposed to. But then the camera just panned to Minas Tirith, and it didn't say explicitly which characters needed to go there. So I thought it had bugged out, but actually it doesn't actually tell you. I'm still back at this save, but I know what to do now. So I'm going to pass turn Frodo here, that's going to trigger the next bit, and then the script, even though it doesn't say, requires you to take Gandalf to Minas Tirith. But at the same time, for the final leg of the journey, I also need to make some preparations. I need to get rid of all the expenses, which are just a waste of money, so they're back in the positive. We do need some units around here just in case. Wartans. Oh, I'll get rid of these as well actually, because we're just going to lose these settlements. Okay. I need to get these guys down as well. So we'll trigger the script here. It does usually read this out, but it says Frodo, Sam and Gollum were captured by Faramir, captain of Gondor, and are being taken to Osgiliath. And then yeah, so the camera did this panning thing and I didn't understand what it was asking me to do. But actually what it's saying to do is go to Minas Tirith with Gandalf. But in order to do the last thing I need to get this army to here, because the problem is that when you trigger the next part of the script, Mordor and Gondor both get massive armies, and the fact that Gondor gets an army doesn't really help us because they don't go and attack Mordor, so we basically have to deal with Mordor's armies with some pretty weak troops. And the other thing is that you can't actually get over the river. You can't get over Osgiliath, there's nowhere to cross the river, so I can't use King of the Dead, which is, it might be the most powerful unit in the game, to be honest. Very, very strong. Okay. So what happens here, I'm just going to do this. the settlements don't matter anymore. We're only trying to destroy the ring. The only risk is if we were to lose all the settlements, and that would mean we would lose the campaign. But at this stage, I'm not going to lose 7 settlements in 10 turns, whatever it's going to be. So when the next part of the script triggers, Mordor gets an army here and Gondor gets an army here. But we also need to get Frodo to here. And the problem is that Mordor will just attack us, so we need to block them. Which is why I need this army here. We need to block their way here. So I need 1 fort here and 1 fort there. Yeah, okay, we'll set that up for next time. But yeah, it doesn't matter if we lose these settlements anymore because we're so close to the objective. Okay. So we want 1 fort here, and then we want another fort about here. And now we can trigger the script, and Mordor should not be able to get to us. Okay, so that script did trigger that. So that's Faramir saying, "Go Frodo, go with the will of all men." And then this is the Gondor army that spawns in, and this is the Mordor army that spawns in. But we cannot deal with that with just Frodo and Sam, which is why we need to block their path. So we'll move up Frodo and Sam just bang Gollum under the red arrow, then we'll pass down and hope that we don't get attacked.
Smeagol knows of a path through the mountains that could allow Frodo to get into Mordor. Click the Accept button to let Frodo follow him.
Okay, we made it through.
Gollum leaves Frodo in Shelob's lair. Even if he survives the giant spider, the path to Mount Doom will be full of orcs.
Okay, so this is basically it. We need to kill Gollum, so let's just do that quickly, and then yeah, we're nearly there. So I'm just cutting back to this point because I did fight the battle manually and then the script bugged out, the arrow didn't appear. So I'm going to auto-resolve it, hope that we win, and then try and proceed. So we've won that battle, and then the arrows come up, so that's fine. Okay, I mean, we might get attacked here. I don't know if there's much I can do about that.
If you want to destroy the One Ring, start a battle against the entrance to Mount Doom. When in battle, the ring bearer must be sacrificed in the fires of Mount Doom, and then the One Ring will be destroyed.
Okay, so we need to attack the entrance to Mount Doom, and this will basically just kill us. I have fought this before, it's just, well, you'll see once we enter the battle. I might also add some clips of the fight with Gollum at the end of the video as well. Okay, so I think all we need to do is stand here and get shot. Maybe we need to get closer. There you go. So this is Mount Doom. And well, the ring's dead. That's the death of the ring. Okay, so the entrance to Mount Doom has killed us.
Congratulations, the One Ring has been destroyed.
Okay, we have completed the script. The One Ring is destroyed. Mordor as a faction is also destroyed. So these lands are now just slave lands, I think. Let's do a quick toggle fog of war. Yes, the lands of Mordor are just slave lands. Oh, sorry, rebel lands, not slave. And then I think this mountain looks a bit different, Mount Doom. But Men of Rad seem to have expanded. Gondor didn't really do that much. Rohan have expanded fairly far east. Elves of lothlorien didn't do much. The Orc Rabbles have spilled out in the mountains as they always do. Someone else, they've not ventured out of Mirkwood. Dale, few territories, Eastlings, again not much expansion. Erebor have gone north and west as they usually do. Angmar, they've not done too much. And Erdleveen have expanded quite as far as they usually do. And the High Elves haven't done too much. That's Dunland and Isengard. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that sort of mini playthrough. I just wanted to get to the end of the Fellowship of the Ring and trigger the scripts. I know that there are certain things they can't do, like the battle at Helm's Deep doesn't really happen on Minas Tirith, but they haven't sort of added in armies and stuff to try and make that happen. But there is a script where if Isengard attacks Rohan at Helm's Deep, they'll get an Elves of lothlorien reinforcing army. It's the same for Minas Tirith. They'll get a reinforcing army for Rohan. Yeah, I think it's a very difficult thing to do, to put in scripts like that into a game like Total War. Very complex, so props to the developers for getting that done. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you on the next one. Oh, and I will put some footage at the end of the Battle of the Golem. Battle of the Hobbits. What's going on with the hitboxes? But there's blood. Someone's taking damage. Sam's got his frying pan. Is this called Sting? I think it's called Sting. Got his ring out as well. Tempting Frodo. Sorry, Gollum. Go on, Sam. Come on. We didn't kill him though. No, we're not going to get him, are we? There we go.